Listen, I hustle over time, attempt to push the culture forward. This that real shit, make a meal with that little gift. Everybody on a hustle, we can make a real shift. So keep your head up, youngin', and just keep on moving. And if you ain't hustling, then I don't know what you're doing. The time is now. I'm sorry, I'm not sorry. Yeah. I gotta write my story. No, you can't have my glory. I'm taking all that's for me. Unapologetic.
Hey, yo, man, it's Saturday. You know how we do it. It's your boy, Marcus Stone, a.k.a. Hustle, host of the Unapologetic Hustle, coming to you live from Globe Life Park, powered by Fishbowl Radio Network and Bashani Radio app. And, man, I got to say, I'm excited about today's show. More importantly, because I'm learning more and more about this brother the more I speak with him. And I got to say, he's one of those individuals I'm going to have to keep in my hip pocket. You know what I mean? But you know how we always do, man. Look, we're going to take care of some community business right now. Look, make sure that, you know, you register to vote. That deadline is fastly approaching. Check your local area state requirements. Make sure you get out so you can exercise that right, all right? But at the same time, make sure that your voice is heard, first and foremost. So we don't want to be silent on a lot of actions, but you know how we do, man. You got to exercise that and continue to push forward. But we're going to jump right into it, man. My guest today is, he hails from the East Coast, but he made the journey across searching for that gold and now resides in the West. Chasing his dreams and living out, you know, his best life. But, you know, he's dabbled in several ventures, and we're gonna get into that. And we're going to welcome to the show none other than the award-winning producer of Black Magic, Mr. Duran Jones. How you doing, man? Welcome to the Hustle.
What's going on, brother? Thank you for having me, man. Thank you for having me. Man,
you know, the more we talked, I kept saying, man, it's kindred spirits, man. We have a lot of similarities, and I like to hear your vantage point from your journey, because that's what the hustle is about, man. You know, you found various avenues to pursue to be the greatest you, and I want the people to understand who you are and what that's been like. So, who is Duran Jones?
Man, I wish I could say I was smart enough to find all of those avenues, but they kind of found me in a way. I think I was smart and in tune with myself enough to be open to it, right? And be open to the possibilities of it. So when I was a young kid, I got introduced into hip hop through my aunt and my brother. My brother used to freestyle in the car. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. So I started writing rhymes, and that became kind of a refuge for me that turned into a passion. I went to college for journalism, and then in college, I was still writing rhymes and releasing music. So when I got out and graduated, I literally went to work at CNN, but then I would go to open mics at night, and I would perform. So I would work the 5 a.m. to 2 p.m. shift, and then do another shift from 2 to 10. And then at 10 o'clock, I would go right to the open mic, be there till 1 o'clock or 2, and do it all over again the next morning. And that's just where this journey kind of started for me. And that led me to doing music videos just with my background and doing some editing and some videography in my profession. And I started writing my own videos. And after I started writing those videos in 2017, I was doing an EP. It was a 5-song EP called Black Magic. I had all the songs done in the concept. So I was sitting in my home and writing my music videos like I normally do. And I started making them connect together in one story.
Wow.
And then I sat back and I looked at it and I was like, this isn't music videos, this is a film. And I had never done a film before, right? Like I had been an editor. That was kind of my journalism was my background. So I knew how to tell a story. I knew all of those things. But as far as what it takes to put a film together, I was clueless. And this was in 2017. So I reached out to a partner of mine that we had connected 5 years prior, and that when I was performing at this natural hair show in Atlanta, Georgia, and he had just got to Atlanta. There's a cat named Sean Mathis from Connecticut, and we just kept in touch over Instagram. Never met after that. It took 5 years, and I hit him on Instagram one day like, I got this idea. Can you meet? We met at a coffee shop. I pitched him the idea, played the songs. He was like, when you want to start? And then the rest was kind of history, man. And Black Magic was born. We did film festivals, and film festivals landed me to where I am now in film school at the #1 film school in the country, man. So it's a blessing, but all of it came out of just following that passion and following your heart and just having to hustle and grind for nobody to be able to tell you that you can or can't do it.
Indeed. Yeah, man, that's a lot right there, man.
It's a lot, bro.
A lot,
It's a lot,
you know, from one aspect of your journey, man. But look, so every show, I always give my guests these words. So the whole point is really just to think about the first word that comes to mind when you hear these words, and you know, so we can get a little more insight into your thought process. You ready for it?
Here we go. All
right, first word.
I'm gonna try to keep it clean.
First word, unapologetic.
Me.
Second word, hustle.
Heart.
Next word, legacy.
Journey.
All right. Last word, purpose.
Creation.
Oh, I like that one. We're gonna sit there real quick. So purpose and creation. Talk to me about that. Why does purpose and creation resonate so well?
It's commonly said that there's two types of people: you either build or you destroy. And I think both, in a sense, are a form of creation, right? Because you can destroy something that's already created, but in destroying it, you create something new.
Okay.
And I think everything that we do in our lives we're creating something, whether it be creating a thought process, creating a piece of art, creating a song, creating a job, a business, creating kids. Like
right.
Everything is that's what we're here to do. We're here to create. And I mean, just if you follow any religious structure, it's just creation is the thing that gets you closest to God. Because
Indeed.
that is the part of God that's in you. So that's what I'll be honest with you. The first word that came to my mind when you said that was God, but then that to me equaled creation. So I didn't want to isolate anybody. So I just said creation.
Man, that's dope. That's deep right there. Now I appreciate that. That gave me a whole new outlook to a thought process that I'm gonna start traveling down, because you opened my eyes to something just now.
I mean, you already had it, you know. I mean, you creating something right now. So it's
indeed.
not. It's just it's funny because the older I get, the more conversations I have and the more framework I have. Right. It's not that the thought process is new. It's just like, oh yeah, that is exactly what I've been doing.
Right.
You know, and that's how I fell into producing. Right. Like when I made that first short film that I was talking about earlier, I didn't know that I was producing a film. I didn't know I was producing all of my albums that I had dropped up until then, the albums, the mixtapes, and everything, because I had to get the producers. I had to figure out how to put it on streaming platforms.
Right.
I had to figure out how to get it cleared. I had to create the music, book the studio time, get the cover art. That's producing. So I literally had been doing this since 2008. And in 2017, somebody told me, oh man, you produced the hell out of that. And I was like, that's what that is?
Right. They gave you the context of what you were already doing.
Yeah, that's it. And I think that's the beautiful thing about just being Black in general, because that part of creation is already in you. Like we create something out of nothing every daggone day, bro.
Man,
every day.
Real talk.
You know?
And that's what I love about, you know, the hustle aspect. I translate it into hustling, right? You have something that you can do, and if not, you go out and find something to do in order to survive, right? That's what the hustle is about. It's not about the destruction aspect. It's about the uplifting pieces to continue to push forward and be the better version of yourself every day. So yeah, a lot of the same things, just different vantage points and different perspectives, different contexts, right? but ultimately the same goal. And that's big, man, to know that you were doing something and then somebody put it into context, and then you know, that became your foundation, and then you've taken it from there. So, man, I want to talk about how did we talked about it briefly, but how did Black Magic come to be? And what was that light bulb moment?
Okay, so it was after like one of my albums, and I just was in like a mode of just making songs, right? And I kept making stuff. I found a new producer by the name of Clint Ford. I really locked in with his frequency and the way he was operating on certain tracks, and it just brought something new out of me, right? And I think my story kind of culminated at that point, to a point where it was just coming out of me in a specific way that I had never had before. Right. It's almost like you know how you reach that 10,000 hour mark, and then things just start coming naturally, like everything clicks. You're not trying to be anybody else or mimic anybody else. You're just doing what comes natural. You know what I'm saying? It's like a basketball player getting into a flow.
Right.
He can't tell you how he just made that dunk. He just did it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Steph don't tell you how he actually, the mechanics of pulling up from half court. He just does it because he's done it so many times. And I reached that mark. And this project, man, it was a part of my heart. It was a part of my fears, my family structure. Actually, on the Black Magic album, the interludes you hear are some of the recordings. Is a recording from the first phone call I had with my brother who's incarcerated. And a lot of that was framing the topics I was talking about. Right. There's one song, I love this song. It's called Family First on the album. And before it, I had asked my brother how he's doing in there. He said, just living life, trying to stay sucker free. And that was like a whole sermon to me, just in that moment, because I was going through so many things and moving in so many different circles, and people would start to fall off. And I'm like, all right, I got to put family first. Wow. So then you get the hook. I'm gonna try to keep it clean. I done put it down for my dog. Now they don't come around. They don't even call. Back against the wall. I've been through it all. And that's where I was. You know what I'm saying? Like you had to, being in music, you have to wear so many hats and do so many things on your own. And you can't count on anybody if you don't have anything to offer. And I was at a point where I could offer my creativity, but as far as financially, I couldn't offer anybody anything. Right. All I could tell you is, look, I'm dope and I'm doing something that's worth it. But that ain't enough. People got to eat. You know what I'm saying? So after a certain amount of time, people start to fall off. And that's what happened to me. And I was just looking around. I'm like, okay, all right, it's time to recalibrate. I put all this other stuff above family, and now I need to come in here and really put it down for what I believe in. And out of that, when I started writing those music videos, the first story that came into my mind was the story about Tamir Rice. So that connected to the short film, which was loosely based on his story of going to the park, playing with a toy gun, and then the officers pull up, and you kind of know the rest of the story from there. Right. And my mindset said, what happened before that? Right? How did this kid get in the park by himself with a toy gun? You know what I'm saying? And it's not placing blame, but just to give context, right? So I basically fabricated a portion of it where the father in my story is an artist like myself, that he has a son with a woman who he's not in a relationship with, and they share custody. Right. He gets the son on the weekends, but along with getting the son on the weekends, he's still trying to chase his dream. So he has to go to the studio, but drop his son off at his mother's house, right? Which is a common story in our community. It's not really, it's not ideal, but our parents got to work. Yeah. That's the hustle, right? So in trying to chase his dream, he's trying to show his son that it's possible for you to dream and get what you achieve, but he hasn't gotten it yet, and therefore he's missing valuable time in raising that child. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And in that child ends up in the street in a place without protection. But the part about it to me is like, we hear about the stories of Mike Brown, Trayvon Martin, Oscar Grant. It goes on and on, right? The community always comes together in some form of solidarity and support. A lot of times, even in the relationship of the mother and the father of these kids, if the parents ain't together, they come together for that cause after that's happened. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the strength that we showed in that project, is that the father and the mother in that story come together to do something to honor their son and make it better for the next person that's coming after. Right. And I think that's what we do continuously. So when we talked about Black Magic and why I put the logo for Black Magic inside of a box, and I remember people saying to me, why do you want it in a box? Like you don't want to be boxed in. And I was like, you don't understand. That box is beautiful. That box is exactly where I want to be. It's where I belong. Right. It's nothing. It's something magical about that box. I don't want to open it. Right. I want to be insulated into this because this is where I am. And this is where I belong. And I think that's how we have to start thinking. It's like we always want to be open to the world and everything else. It's like, no, man, if you want my story, you got to come inside this box, because that's where my story coming from. Right. And it's for these people that are in this box.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if you want something of ours, you got to come in this box that we own, and you got to pay for it.
Indeed. I like
Point
that.
blank.
I like that. Yeah. Because I mean that resonates as well, because so much of the practices are to break the barriers, to break the stereotypes, to get outside of your comfort zone, outside of your box. But there's no in doing that, you gain different perspectives, but at the same time you have the same ability to lose the self-identity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I understand that as well. You know, you want to be conformed to your box, especially with your content and your creations that you put out there to draw people in, but you have to have the perspectives and outside of that in order to know how it's received and how you can actually make the changes. You know what I mean? So it's really a twofold. I get that. That's deep.
Absolutely. It's I'm not saying stay in your box in terms of don't venture out and don't learn more, don't expand your world. Right. But when you do that expansion, bring it back to the box, because it just makes that
box that much,
that bigger.
You
right?
increase your box.
You increase the box. You increase everything around you, and that's what for so long we had a tendency not to do. Right? Like you get a little bit of money, the first thing you want to do is move out of the neighborhood, and I get it.
Yeah.
Right? Because we come out of these situations and these circumstances where it's not ideal. And the first thing you want, just as a human or even as a being or entity, is safety. Right. That's instinct. You know, that's survival of the fittest. It's just survival in itself. So I get that, right? But remember what you did it for. And that's why I was saying I had to kind of recalibrate and start thinking about family.
Right.
And to go back to what you were asking earlier, like the legacy that I want to create and what I want to leave behind and who I'm leaving it for. You know what I'm saying? That's the most important part. I'm not saying that any of us should leave ourselves vulnerable, like so many of our fallen soldiers before, like Nipsey. But at the same time, take heed to what he was doing. Yeah. For that area. You know what I'm saying? Like that's beautiful. He was expanding the box.
Yeah, he bought the strip that he hustled on.
Exactly. And the box was what really happened is that the box was so small for so long that it just ended up swallowing them whole, because nobody had attempted to expand it before.
Man.
So now you're getting into like really trying to cultivate a thought process and cultivate people to understand that there's something larger than what we're doing in this box. You know what I'm saying? There's beauty in it, but there's a larger purpose. I remember I watched an interview with Ryan Coogler when he was talking about when he went to Africa to kind of do some research for Black Panther.
Right.
And he was saying that when he went over there, he was seeing a lot of the customs and stuff that we do is what they do, right? He was like, they had an event at the house, and the elders were in the backyard, and the women were in the kitchen cooking, and then the kids were out in the front yard. He was like, "Oh, this ain't nothing but a barbecue."
Yeah.
and the dude told him, he was like, "Yeah, we like to keep our family, the youngins, out in the front because it shows that we're wealthy. Not wealthy in terms of money, but that our family is large and we're prospering." So when we look at our neighborhoods and people be like, "Oh, y'all hanging on the corner, y'all loitering, y'all look like a gang." Nah, that's wealth. We here, we survive. That's what we're showing you, the generations.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's we got to take that mentality back, man. And it's so much stuff that I'm just learning by exploring the contents of that box, and so much of my work is surrounding that. The theme of your past creates your present, but you determine your future.
Indeed. Yeah, man, that speaks a lot, man. Like you talking about the wealth aspect, and it made me think about what I see a lot on social media now with the individuals doing the generation, so many generations of their mothers or their fathers, or those types of things, where there was one where it was, I think it went back 6 or 7 generations. It was all women. Yeah, and I'm like, man, that's beautiful. That was beautiful.
And
like,
my story is kind of similar. My great grandmother just turned 93.
Wow.
But yeah, my grandmother had my mother young, and my mother had me young, and I've kind of put a halt to that because I'm 35 with no kids, so they all looking at me like I'm crazy.
Like you messing up the generation, man.
Yeah, exactly. As I talk about creating wealth, right? But yeah, I'm expanding the box, as I would like to tell them. Right? Yeah, I'm expanding the box, and I don't have no kids, but I got a hell of a dog right now, and he's pretty damn good to me. So
yeah, what is a giant schnauzer, right?
Yeah, man. That's my buddy, bro. That's my buddy, Pharaoh. That's my buddy.
That's what's up, man. Hey, yo, man, y'all know how we do, man. It's your boy Marcus Stone, aka Hustle, host of the Unapologetic Hustle, man, and we coming to you live from Globe Life Park, powered by Fishbowl Radio Network and Bashani Radio app. And my guest today is none other than the award-winning producer, Mr. Duran Jones. And yeah, if y'all haven't heard him, it's because he in here starstruck. My co-host, Mr. P.L. Coulter, man, is in the building, man. Tell him.
Yes, I am. I'm very, very happy to be here. Thanks for the invite back, Mr. Hustle. A pleasure to meet Mr. Jones. I'm soaking it all in.
I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you being here.
Man, so, yo, tell me, like, I understand you talked about, the CNN and then open mics. What was that, not necessarily the transition, but what was the mindset at that time? Like, what were you really trying to focus on achieving the dream of the journalism aspect, or was it understanding that journalism wasn't what you really wanted to do? It was in other avenues.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. I mean, journalism wasn't the end all be all for me, and I kind of knew that. And I started taking eggs out of one basket and putting it in another at that time. And it was at an interesting time because I had just graduated college with a degree in journalism, and I'm working at one of the biggest news networks in the world. So you would think you would be happy. Right. But I'm looking at my paychecks and how many hours I'm spending in this building, and I'm like, nah, I'm not. So this is not what happiness looks like for me, right? I'd rather be broke doing something that I love doing than have a little bit of change in my pocket and just be able to pay bills and get up and do it all over again just to pay bills.
Right.
So I think what happened to me, kind of the inception of this idea, was I applied for this internship at a studio called Patchwork. It was a marketing internship. And I had approached my my job and told them like, hey, I'm going to take this internship. I need some time off. Is it okay if I take a sabbatical and come back? And they started looking at some things, and then they came back to me and said, yeah, that's fine. And then a week before I was scheduled to actually leave, because they were going to pay me out during that time, and I was going to come back and put my time back in. But a week before that, they called me into the office and were like, look, you haven't accrued enough leave to be able to do this. So unfortunately, we can't let you go. And I was like, well, I already took the internship. And they were like, well, I can't promise that you'll have a job when you get back. And I was like, well, I'm putting in my 2 weeks today.
Wow. So
I literally left. I took an unpaid internship at Patchwork Studios. I met one of my producers that got me to the younger producer I was speaking about earlier, Clint Ford. I met a brother named Jay Keys. He had actually won this Zaytoven beat battle. And I happened to be in the studio when they were playing the beats. I wasn't supposed to be in there. I just snuck in, sat in the back, and I was listening, and I was like, this cat dope. We exchanged information, we locked in, and then I just kept going and kept growing. It was just staying open, seizing those opportunities, and just being as fearless as I possibly could, you know? And, you know, I'm going to do just, it's in our DNA to do whatever we have to do to survive.
Absolutely.
So I would wait tables, bartend, a couple other hustles I won't name. And yeah, just doing whatever I could just to make sure that I could chase this dream that I finally wanted outside of like causing harm to anybody.
Right.
You know? And that was important to me. It was important for me to bet on myself at that point in time, because I was tired of valuing the time I could spend creating on my own off of somebody else's market value of me.
Absolutely. I resonate with that 100%, man. And I try to continue to encourage my following that, you know, you're your number one fan. You're your number one support. And you have to know that you can do it. You can create it before anybody else will actually see it in you. Like, you know, if you start doubting yourself, then everybody else is going to pick up on the doubt that you have of yourself. Right. You have to be your biggest cheerleader, and, you know, invest 110, 200 if that's the case, you know, to make the dream that you're given. Right. Because we all have dreams, and they're not given to everybody. It's given to you specifically. Right. It comes to you from the creator. Right. So you're the one that has to put the action and hustle into actually making that happen. So exactly, man, that's big.
Yeah. I think my wife and my mom would argue you to that point about the number one fan though. They go back and forth on that all the time. But I think it gets me to another important point. I'm gonna tell a story that I probably shouldn't tell. I'm probably in trouble for it, but it's all right. It was years ago. I was dating a woman, and I remember I was at this point where I created a clothing brand, right? And then I was doing music, and the music wasn't going the way I wanted it to. And I was still working that job that I didn't want to work. And I remember like venting to her and being like frustrated to the point of tears and saying like, man, this is not going the way I wanted to. Like, I want to give up. And I remember she looked at me and basically, I'm summarizing, but basically she looked at me and said, maybe you should.
Oh, that challenge.
And at that point, I was like, this is over. This is over. You're not the one. You're not the one. Like, you're not down for this. I'm like, I'm so down on myself, right?
Right.
I'm looking for somebody to lift me up.
Absolutely.
But I knew this in my mind, right? I knew it was no way I was giving up, because it's not in me to do that for this dream.
Right.
Right. But I wanted somebody to be able to pour into me instead of take away from me. Right. Absolutely. And that's that value system that you have to have as you're going through that hustle. It's like,
yeah, because it's draining,
pushing and pulling you, and exactly, and straining you in so many different ways.
Yeah.
And you want people that feed you, not people that just take from you all the time. And at that point, my circle started getting smaller and smaller, bro.
Yeah. Smaller
Smaller and smaller. And I think that's part of it.
Yeah, and you know, for me, it became it became more calculated as to who came into the circle. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's
Mm-hmm.
the world is going to take from you regardless, but there's so much that you can give to it from trying to chase your dreams, right? So there's so many obstacles that you got to already overcome. But to then have those within your circle to pull the remaining fumes that you have, and nobody ever fill your tank back up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's a
Dangerous place.
that's a dangerous place, you know, and that's why
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people give up on the dreams is because they don't, when they're chasing, they don't evaluate the circle that they have
Exactly.
around them.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. And
Like,
to go with your analogy, right, of filling up the tank, it's like
Spot
you
on.
driving the car
yeah,
and this other person riding with you, but your tank on E.
ain't no support.
You ain't got 5 to put on pump 3, like nothing.
Nothing.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
you got to be able to contribute something.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's what we all looking for as we go on this journey, because it's hats that I had to wear during this journey that I wish I didn't. But
Absolutely.
now that I know it, right? Like when I get into that position of having to talk to somebody who does it professionally, you can't screw me over.
Right.
Because I've done it. You know what I'm saying? I've done it before. I know
Yeah.
what it takes. I don't want to do it again, but you not about to give me a half-ass job.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think that experience is priceless to me, man. It's so priceless, because I feel like I've lived so many different careers at this point.
Right.
So, man, I got stories for days, bro.
Man. Hey, I'm a fan. I'm gonna sit back and enjoy the storytelling, because I
This is
mean,
good.
you definitely definitely have the niche and the skill set to make it come and be relatable. That's the biggest thing.
The relatable part is what's getting me over here, because there was something he said earlier that just splashed cold water in my face, and I would love to follow up with him about it. So, Mr. Jones, at the time when you were at CNN and you were ready to make that move to take the internship, was there people, because a lot of times people are more proud of what we do than what we do than ourselves.
Right.
Hey, my baby works at CNN. Hey, my boy works at CNN.
Yeah.
Did you have any trepidation walking away from the security of that bubble, the way people view a job like that? Because that sounds like a fascinating job for a college graduate, you know? Was there any trepidation?
Yes. Just to put it short, yes. And if I was living home with my mother at that time, she probably would have got the belt.
Right, I was thinking.
I promise, she would have got the belt out quick, because she just didn't understand it, right? And I was at that mindset of no plan B, and
Right.
it's just, this is what I want to do, and this is how I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make it. And she's like, well, what are you gonna do for money? I don't know. I'm gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
And in her mind, like, all she's ever done, because my mother had me at 18, all she's ever done was work to provide for me. You know what I mean? So that mindset is like, I worked so hard to provide for you, and now I might have to do it again, you telling me?
Right.
Because you can't do it for yourself, and that scares me. Nah, I can't have that. Right? But I understood it, but I had to just kind of take it on the chin at that point, because this was something that I had to do. It was my decision, and nobody else needed to pay for my decision. But being a good mother, she's not gonna let you think that. Like, she's just like, whatever you need,
I got
call
you.
me.
Yeah.
But I don't want you to have to call me. What she was saying to me, right? But it's just, I had to do it, man. I had to do it, and I would say during that time, after I left CNN, I worked at 3 or 4 restaurants as a waiter and a bartender. I worked for a catering company as a waiter. I installed cable at one point for a telephone company, basically like hanging drop lines and wires. I was a personal trainer at another point. I started a tie company where I was selling neckties, handmade neckties, with a boy of mine from college. It just, all of these things though, right? All of these experiences that I'm naming, are different parts of my journey that now in this role as producer, I'm able to utilize.
Yeah.
Right. I even worked at a logistics company at a brokerage firm selling LTL and truckloads to different carriers. So I learned about 15-foot cube trucks and all of that. That's the stuff I have to order as a producer on a film. Like, I got to fill these trucks up with equipment.
Right.
So now I know how to talk to the guys that work in the facility when you're giving me the wrong quote on gas.
Yep. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's just these little things that I picked up over time that I didn't realize it was preparing me for this moment. But if I would have just stayed in this bubble of being an editor and doing something that looked good to everybody else, and I'm looking at my paychecks and saying it's not as good as you think it is,
man,
I'd be nowhere.
I love this show, man.
Yeah, look, for me this is the best way that I can put it, right? Everything that I've done, I know that I'm on the right track when I feel like Noah. Right? Because everybody looked at Noah as like, why are you building X, Y, and Z? Why are you doing X, Y, and Z? Why are you doing this until it actually happened? You know what I mean? So every venture that I've done, if I don't get the Noah feeling, I'm missing something.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
So everything that I've embarked on, I've had the Noah feeling. Right. And it you have to have that to know that your back is against the wall.
To see no rain and you still build.
And you still building.
Yeah.
Right, because you know the rain is coming, and when the rain comes, you're prepared for it.
Exactly.
You know, so.
But this is the thing, right? Like, I don't even know if, in this context or in the biblical story context, if Noah even knew what he was actually doing,
right,
or why.
He just knew he had to do it.
He just knew he had to do it. There was nothing else. There's no other reason behind it. It's just I have to do this because my spirit, my body, and everything else is driving me to this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'll tell you the truth about me in high school. Like in high school, I did extracurricular activities, a lot of them, and I quit almost all of them. I played basketball, quit. Football, quit. Tried to come back to the football team after not coming to 2-a-days in the summer. And the coach looked at me like, boy, you better take my helmet off and go home.
Right.
So I was like, you right. Went home. Right? Tried to wrestle. Quit. Tried to join track. Quit. None of that was for me.
Right.
The only thing that I stuck to in high school, my sophomore year, I created the men's step team at my high school. And that was the only thing that carried me through my whole high school career and even into college.
Wow.
And it was because it was related to music. It was something that I could connect to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it was like I was always searching for that one thing. You know what I'm saying? But once I got it, you can't let it go. You can't let it go. And I used to tell people all the time, it's like I couldn't even quit if I tried. And if I told you then I quit, well, now you know that's a lie because you're hearing this in another song.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna wake up tomorrow, it's gonna be a hook in my head, and I'm gonna have to put it somewhere. Like there's nothing else that I can do.
Yeah, me saying I quit is a status check for those that's around me.
Exactly. Let me see, you still on this ride? All right. If I quit, you got to give me $5 for gas. Period.
Right.
So
you've been riding. You've been riding for a while.
Exactly.
You need to.
Time.
I'm collecting right now because I'm done.
Thanks. But yeah, man, there's a track on the Black Magic album called "Losing My Faith" that addresses that. And I just talk about like everybody's perception of what it is that you're supposed to do and how. And in the second verse, that's like one of my favorite verses I ever wrote. They say things ain't working out as planned. They tell me don't plan, just put it in God's hands. I'm counting blessings. But when that don't work, they say the man without a plan is just lacking direction. So all this guidance that I seek sound like guesses to me. 1 degree I'm not using and this debt ain't cheap. I stare inside Medusa's eyes, get stoned to hide the pain inside, but when the house subsides, the same problems arise. There's no escaping. How's a man supposed to feel when the gifts that God gave him, the world throws it back in his face? What do I lack? 1 step forward and 2 steps back. So like them viral videos, I'm just running in place. That was at the time when the University of Maryland was doing the shuffle back and forth. But that's how long I've been doing this.
Man.
Right? It's to the point where things come to me and I have to do them. And it's there's no explanation for it. Right? And sometimes people on my team, while I'm creating these films, they'll hear me say things and they'll like question me on it. And I don't have an answer. But I'm like, I know this is right because I'm being led to do this.
Indeed.
In this specific way.
Right.
And it's like, I just need you to trust me. You know, but I mean, through that journey, I've learned to trust myself. Because if you would have told me in 2012, when I was writing my album, that I'd be in film school in California, I'd have been like, you crazy.
Right.
How? How? I'm not even making films right now. How?
Man, look,
So, yeah.
I share that same thing, man, because, again, if you would have told me last year, I don't even have to go back that far. If you would have told me last year that I would have a show, a platform syndicated show that
and killing it,
and that is teaching entrepreneurship and the mentality, the mindset aspect that it takes to win, right? To have talked to individuals of your caliber, such as yourself, right? To reach, I mean, I mentioned last week that I got my analytics last week, and my show touches over 900,000.
Ooh.
Over 900,000, and that's all this year. But had you told me that last year that this would have come to pass, I would have been like, man, there's no way. There's no way. But you mentioned it, when you're given a direction, you don't know what the finished product is. You just have to travel that road. And that's what I did. I traveled that road. This show has been therapy for me. Point blank, period.
Yeah.
It's definitely been therapy for a lot of us, and I can speak for the staff here at Fishbowl Radio. He came in with such a focus and such a hustle mentality that it kind of it spread through a lot of the other hosts. You know, his name started getting around. People wanted to start getting him on other shows, myself included. There was just he has this gravitas, and the one thing that he has in common with all the guests that he brings on, all of the guests have this gravitas about them. It's like I know you're a winner. I don't know why yet, so I'm gonna sit here and listen. Now he'll tell you I run his board, and he'll look over at me, and I'm staring into the screen like I'm watching a TV show. So he'll have to snap his finger like, "Hey man, it's time to go to break," because I'm soaking it in. I love to work this show because I get to meet people like yourself, Mr. Jones, like week in and week out. It's the best seat in the house, and like the humility, the focus, the hustle that you all have that common thread with. It's just, it makes me proud, and I tell them all the time, I'm a proud man watching this show and being a part of this show because you all make us proud each and every week, and I'm rooting for all of y'all to succeed because it's, yeah. Because I get to hear your stories firsthand, and yeah.
Man, I appreciate that, man. It means a lot. Yo, D, so look, tell the people how they could get a hold of you, man. How can they see your work? How can they, support you in the ventures that you have going on? How can they, your social media tags, and then once you do that, man, we gotta pay some bills after that, but we'll come back and get into some more.
You can reach me on Instagram and my website. It's all the same. It's I am Duran, IamDuran.com, and that's I spelt like your third one. So EYEAMDURAN, and that's everywhere.
That's what's up. That's what's up, man. Look, make sure y'all go and support. The Black Magic short film, I mean, is award winning. Make sure you go in and watch that and run that up. I know he has some more things in the works. I got a sneak peek, so I'm not gonna divulge any of that information. Y'all gonna have to wait. We gonna keep y'all on a cliff waiting for this greatness. But
We're working it out for sure.
But there are other things that you can go out there and watch and listen. Like I said, this brother is a gifted lyricist for sure. So you can go and check out his music, but the films that he's put out there. This man even did his own signing day video for the academy, man. He did his own signing day. Come on, man.
Hey man, I had to let him know.
Yo,
I had to let him know, man.
Hey, I was like, man, that's Academy Award right there. You know.
I had fun with that one, man. We'll get into that, man. It's a funny story how I ended up in film school, man. So maybe we can get to that later.
Yeah, indeed. But man, y'all know how we do, man. It's your boy Marcus Stone, aka Hustle, host of the Unapologetic Hustle, man. We coming to you live from Globe Life Park, powered by Fishbowl Radio Network and Bashani Radio app. But right now, man, we're gonna take a quick break, pay some bills, and come right back with our special guest, Mr. Duran Jones. We'll see you on the other side.
Levi Jones.
I got the smoking nations. I already won, yeah. It's a celebration. Yeah. I got the smoking nations. I'm in love with blue honey faces. Yeah. I can't lose, I got the smoking nations. No time is wasting, no stress, I know I'm the chosen favorite. I know I never fall, cause I got that homostasis. I got melody, flow, and style, hit you with that combination. Call me crazy, but me and God, we had a conversation. He said, I love how you going, how you always modulating. Do me a favor, please don't stop until you know you made it. You don't know it yet, but you a young prophet that's in the making. Run me up, levitation, run me up. She asked me who keep on calling, I say it's the money love. Need to get your money up, y'all do anything for buzz. It's that natural blessings from above. Who thought y'all was super close, thought y'all had me on the ropes. I just sit back, chill and laugh, and I watch the money grow. Red pill for the bad, blue pill for my hopes. Red pill, blue pill, what you mean? Run me both, ay. I got these smoking nations, I already won, yeah. It's a celebration. I got the smoking nations. I'm in love with blue honey faces. I got the smoking nations. I gotta get to the bag with no hesitation. I got the smoking nations. I got the smoking nations. I got the smoke, yeah. I got the smoke, I got the smoke, yeah. I got the smoke,
What I got? Yeah, my game proper, flame proper, this that smoking nexus. I change lanes and change records, you still cold with bases. I change minds, I change flows, can't find one dope as mine. And when I smoke, I'm paranoid, can't open with open blinds. Hold up, wait a minute, is that Levi Sachi pimpin'? Hottest Cajun Creole women, I'm a gambit on a mission. Known for damaging the kidneys, also damaging some tracks. Got a grip like Magic Johnson, throw that lie behind my back. Back when Juvie made them back it up, I was a juvie, yeah. Me and Levi Jones composed a track and make a movie, yeah. Shout out to my groupies, yeah. All my Asian cuties, yeah. Couple Blasian cuties, yeah. Movies like I'm Bruce Lee, yeah. Now the people call me Ace, I guess that means I'm one-on-one. I even made a fucking song about it, it was one of love. Shawty ain't return my feelings, had me feeling down and out. Caught with more blue honey faces, homie, you should learn to count, yeah.
I got the smoking nations. I already won, yeah. It's a celebration. I got the smoking nations. I'm in love with blue honey faces. I got the smoking nations. I gotta get to the bag with no hesitation. I got the smoking nations. I got the smoking nations. I got the smoking nations. I already won, yeah. It's a celebration. I got the smoking nations. I'm in love with blue honey faces. I got the smoking nations. I gotta get to the bag with no hesitation. I got the smoking nations. I got the smoking nations.
Hey, this is DJ Rick. I'm the host of Alley Rally. I broadcast live each week on Wednesday from 1 p.m. until 3 p.m. in the Fishbowl Radio Network studios at Globe Life Park in Arlington, Texas. Log on to www.fbrn.us and check out Alley Rally. So be sure to log on each week, Wednesday, 1 o'clock, top of the hour till 3 to catch my show.
On FishbowlRadioNetwork.com. Jump in.
Fishbowl Radio Network has your cure for the summertime blues with our new Kids Show experience, a fun and creative way for parents to interact with their children. Your kids can become radio hosts for a day and have their show aired over the largest internet radio platform in the world, right here at our beautiful facility at Globe Life Park, where the Rangers play. Spots are limited, so call us now at 817-633-4880 to secure yours. The Kids Show experience. Jump in.
On September 11th, 2001, nearly 3,000 Americans lost their lives, including hundreds of first responders who stepped up when our country needed them the most. We're seeing that same bravery from our frontline workers who risked their lives battling an invisible enemy. The sense of unity displayed in the days following 9/11 and during our current crisis exemplifies the strength of our national character and inspires us to honor the legacy of those lost, as well as those who still lead the charge.
Hello, we are It's About the Kids Incorporated. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization that operates out of Dallas, Texas.
Our mission is to focus on the kids of today who will become the youth of tomorrow and the adult of the future. Today, tomorrow, the future.
Empowering the community one family at a time.
You can reach us at all social media platforms at It's About the Kids or online at www.itsaboutthekids.org.
Where we mentor a child, save a life.
Hi, this is Diane Marion Eunice, and I am a licensed marriage and family therapist. For the past 9 years, I have worked with over 300 couples in the areas of sexual health, communication, and conflict resolution. If you are interested in rebuilding connection and intimacy with your partner, please contact me today. I can be reached at 682-201-8175, or you can email me at diane@letstalkrelationships.org, or visit my website at www.letstalkrelationships.org. And remember, you can't heal if you refuse to deal.
The 46th Annual Harambee Festival. This year's theme, Seeing the Future in Our Children. The festival will proceed on October 31st, 2020 as planned, just in a different format due to COVID-19. Local families and those from surrounding cities will receive free treat bags, care packages during the drive-through giveaway, and participate in early voting, starting at 10:30 a.m. until supplies last. Held at the MLK Jr. Community Center located at 2922 MLK Boulevard, Dallas, Texas, 75215. Donations are welcome. Be sure to follow us on Facebook for our live stream of music, poetry, culture, and more. For info, call 214-978-7164 or visit harambedallas.org.
Here's today's STEM tip. Don't throw out that old plastic bottle. Repurpose it by turning it into an awesome terrarium. Just fill it with sand, pebbles, soil, and your favorite plant. It'll grow sealed right in its own ecosystem. Learn more at She Can STEM. A message from the Ad Council.
Fishbowl Radio Network. FBRN.US. Jump in.
Yes, sir. How you expect to be great, but your hustle don't match. Listen. I hustle overtime, attempt to push the culture forward. This that real shit, make a meal with that little gift. Everybody on a hustle, we can make a real shift. So keep your head up, youngin', and just keep on moving. And if you ain't hustling, then I don't know what you're doing. The time is now. I'm sorry, I'm not sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. I gotta write my story. No, you can't have my glory. I'm taking all that story.
Yo, it's your boy. Welcome back. I'm your host, Marcus Stone, aka Hustle, host of the Unapologetic Hustle, man. You know how we do. We come to you live from Globe Life Park, powered by Fishbowl Radio Network and Bashani Radio app. And if you missed the first hour, man, you missed some nuggets. So, but welcome to the second hour, man. You know how we do. I I got my co-host in the building, Mr. P.L. Coulter.
Pleasure to be here, Mr. Hustle. Pleasure to be here.
Man, you know, he in here rocking some new merch. I ain't gonna tell y'all what he got on, but you know, it is what it is.
Look, coming to a Facebook live screen near you. Stay tuned.
Yes, sir. You know how we do.
Hey, we support the movement around here, player. We do.
Indeed. But you know, the star of the hour, man, is none other than you know, my guest, Mr. Duran Jones, the award-winning producer of Black Magic. You know, I'm gonna toot his horn a little bit, man, because this dude is so humble and modest, man. Like, this dude talks to Spike Lee. You know, like he does, like he's in that realm. So he's not, you know, he don't want to elevate himself, but I'm gonna let the people know who in the room with him.
So we had him on for a whole hour. He never name dropped Spike.
No, I'm gonna drop for him.
Hey man, that's a good look.
Man, I told you it's a crazy story how I got here. I told you, man.
I mean, the only name he gonna drop is Pharaoh, and that's his dog.
Hey man, that's my boy. That's my boy.
Y'all buckle up for hour number 2. Hour number 1 was a blast.
Yo, no, man, I'll tell you, it was crazy. That happening was surreal to me, because you know that's kind of that's in our community. That's the filmmaker we know.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's been it for a long time. And being able to talk to Spike, being able to talk to Ice Cube, Bill Duke, it's just so many that I've had the opportunity through this school that I'm at, American Film Institute, that it's fueling everything that I continue to do, and it lets me know that I am in the right place and I belong here. Yeah. You know, because even leaving music and coming into film, at a school where everybody's a film buff, right?
Right.
They look at me crazy when I say I haven't seen certain things. I remember I told somebody at school I hadn't seen Casablanca, and they were like, "You haven't seen Casablanca?" I was like, "Man, I'm a 35-year-old black dude from Maryland. Why would I have seen Casablanca?" You know what I'm saying? Like I've seen what I've seen, right? And it's plenty of stuff. Like you probably haven't seen Belly or Mo Better Blues or any of that. It doesn't make me less of a filmmaker. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, for them to really champion diversity in that way and make me feel like my voice is one that's desired right now. Right. Not it always needs to be heard. Everybody's voice needs to be heard. But the fact that it's desired at this particular moment is one that I've been able to take advantage of. And I kind of told you, I got to this school kind of on a whim, man. After that film that we talked about in the first hour, my director, Sean Mathis, looked at me. He was like, "Man, what you gonna do next?" I was like, "I'm probably gonna drop another album." He was like, "Nah, you not, bro." He was like, "You need to do something with this film. Like, you really do." So I started looking up film schools.
Yeah.
And I settled on 2. I started calling around to people that I knew in undergrad that went to film school. I called one brother, his name's Du Bois Ashong. And I cherish this conversation to this day because it's forever gonna be a part of my story. I called him because I thought he went to one film school and I was asking him for a letter of recommendation. And he was like, "I mean, I can write you one, bro, but I went to AFI." And I literally said to him on the phone, and I'm not capping at all, "What's AFI?" And he was like, "Bro, I'm gonna send you a link. Send me that film that you did. I've been meaning to take a look at it." He called me back after looking at that film for 10 minutes and was like, "What the F are you doing?" He was like, "You better not apply to that school. You better apply to mine. And I'll walk you through the application process, write your recommendation letter, whatever you need. But you don't need to go there. You need to go here."
Wow.
And then that's where that video you were talking about earlier, the draft, the signing day came from, because it was literally out of me not thinking that these upper echelon schools were even worth me looking at. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I didn't think I had the credentials to be there, but it was somebody seeing something in the work that I'd already created and saying, nah, you definitely belong, bro. And not only that, they want you.
Man.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's priceless. And this is a cat that's younger than me.
Man, that's amazing. I mean, that's the one of the biggest things to actually receive is when people give you the stamp of approval when you don't even feel that it's worthy. Like you know, because we get so ingrained in the grind and the hustle to create that we don't actually understand that the value of what we already created is already there.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a part of the hustle, right? Because you're always trying to outdo yourself from the day before.
Right.
It's not that you're looking at other people around you. You're just looking like,
I can do better.
I could have done this better. I could have done that better. This ain't really where it's supposed to be. Like, let me get this straight. And then I get to the school and I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, I can do this.
Yeah.
I can do this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We had this class in our first week. And I remember they played this short film. And I'm looking at this short film and I'm like, I have no idea what's going on right now. It was like super artsy and way left field. It was about incest and then it turned into the music video at the end. I'm like, bro, I don't know what's happening. Right. And everybody's standing up and they like commenting on the film. It's like, I think she meant this when she directed this part and this camera angle meant this, that, and the third. And I'm just sitting there in my seat like, should I say something? Nah, I ain't gonna say nothing. They're gonna look at me crazy. And I just kept hearing people talk about it and break it down. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna say something. So I raised my hand and I said, I have no idea what this film is about. No idea. To me, film is about effective communication. And whatever this person was trying to communicate, I didn't get it. So to me, the film failed.
Wow.
And the professor literally was just like, thank you. Thank you. I sat down. We took a break from that class. I get out in the hallway. About 10 people came up to me saying, thank you for saying that, because I ain't get it either. And I said, okay.
They follow the status quo.
Yeah, y'all just like me. Y'all was scared too. Okay, now I know why I'm here.
Yeah.
Right? I'm here to be that voice to say, yeah, something ain't right.
Right.
And that's not to say that I'm always going to be right in my assessment, but my assessment is always going to be truthful and honest. And we get a habit of, as Black people in general, especially Black men, silencing ourselves because we feel like our opinion is going to make us an outcast or put a spotlight on us in a negative way,
right,
or make us look aggressive or anything else. And I said, you know what? I'm tired of that.
Yeah.
So one of the first films I pitched, man, I pitched it as a whole spoken word.
Wow.
In front of an audience full of white people, and they were looking at me like standing ovation. And I was like, dang, this is crazy.
Change the narrative for sure.
Yeah, man.
Man, that's big. That's big. So, I want to shift gears just a little bit. I want to shift gears to the CNN interview in Skittles in Arizona, and how that came to be. What has it meant? And I mean, I know it's still relevant because we're still dealing with those things. But I mean, talk to me about that experience. And how what has it done for you as a male since, as far as the work that you're doing and within the community, in the film school and those things?
It came out of hurt, out of anger and frustration, right? Because I grew up at a time when it was Rodney King. And then after Rodney, I think it was Amadou Diallo. And then the list just kept spiraling.
Right.
And Amadou, I think, was in 1999. And at the time, I was what, 14? And that wasn't the first time I had seen it as a 14-year-old kid, you know? And that frustration just, after a certain amount of time, it just weighs on you when you look for any way to speak your mind that you possibly can. And sometimes they don't come out in the best ways, but in this particular instance, it did.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't out of like trying to do something or make it be something. It was just out of conversations that I was having with people that were in my creative community. My producer, Mike Aaron, was like, man, you should write something about Trayvon. And I was like, yeah, you're right, I should. And he sent me a track. He was like, man, hey, look, I got kids. Do this one for my kids. And I was like, all right. And I think that just gave me a responsibility. You know, when we talked about legacy earlier, that's like the thing I keep thinking about.
Yeah.
Right. It's because it's I don't have my own kids, but I feel like what I'm sharing is for not only my generation, but for that younger generation. It's kind of like Pac said, like I may not change the world, but I may spark the mind that does. You know, and it's just putting that out into the ether so that people can pick up on it. And in this particular instance, they picked up on it in a way that I wasn't even prepared, bro.
Right.
Like that CNN interview, like if you really look at me and assess my body language, I'm a nervous little child in that interview, that whole interview, because this was a company that I was working at. And that happened during the time when I had left. And I told you earlier, I took that internship at that studio. So they reached out to me. I don't even think they were aware that I used to work there.
Wow.
So I walk in the building and my old colleagues are like, what you doing here? I'm like, they about to interview me. They're like, for real? I was like, yeah. I'm about to go upstairs and sit with Frederica in a minute. It's like, all right, do your thing. And then I'm on TV for 5 minutes, right? I didn't drop none of my social media. I didn't tell them where to get the song out. No clue what I was doing, bro.
Right.
None. It was just, that was how genuine I was in creating the art. It was just, I'm here because y'all like the art. So let's talk about the art. And it's not really about a larger goal. But now that I have that context and I had that experience, I can say, okay, when I get this opportunity, I need to do something with it to expand that box. I can't just keep it all focused on this particular art. I got to think about future moments.
Right.
And at that time, like I was so unprepared, bro. So unprepared. But I mean, shoot, it was a good look. It was a great experience. And I'm super thankful for it because it's everything I've done. The Trayvon Martin song, the video, the film I told you earlier was about Tamir Rice.
Right.
And I just got a scholarship from my school for another project I did called Numb. It was a short film that I actually dedicated to Breonna Taylor. It's a little 3-minute short that they haven't released yet, but it was something we had to shoot on the iPhone, and the only place I could shoot was in my home.
Wow.
So I just created something out of nothing, man, which is, it's just what we do. And when people like it or people love it, you run with it. You just run with it, man.
Man, that's deep. I mean, you know, the title in itself, Skittles in Arizona. The two things that that he had on him. You look at, for me, you know, personally, I look at it totally different. Like my son, my oldest son doesn't even go in the store and buy Arizona drinks anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he doesn't. Yeah. He was a Arizona drinking machine. You know, you know what I'm saying? And he doesn't even look at them the same.
Arizona sweet tea is a staple, especially in our community. It's the closest to your grandmama's sweet tea you gonna get in the store.
Right.
Ain't nobody,
you know what I'm saying?
Much sugar in it, so this is what we going for, and it's cheap. Okay, yep, I'm going for that. Yeah. But it's like even the hook of the song, like if you listen to it, you can hear the anger and the rage in my voice.
Right.
It's just, I keep repeating it over and over again. Skittles in Arizona, Skittles in Arizona. I'm on the corner with my Skittles in my Arizona. I'm such a threat. You scared yet? Black hoodie in the rain, hope I don't get wet. Even that's a metaphor. He literally had on the hoodie because it was raining. And he got shot. Yeah. Got wet up by some white dude following him.
Yeah, man.
I'm doing this one thing to keep myself safe. And here you come because you feel like I'm what? Imposing on your safety as I'm going the other direction? Like, how much fear do you have to have in me? right? As a teenage, as a boy. But that's what we see over and over again.
And over again. That's the story.
And to me, if we don't look at that and one, see that we need to correct it, right? But two, see how much power we have. Even in our children, we missing the point.
Right. And that's the piece that I try to highlight is the fact that there is power in our movement. There's power in our action. There's power in our voice. There's power in the unity aspect, right? But you have to be vocal in all cases, right? And not just vocal with being verbally, you know, in your actions, right? The things that we do, how we carry ourselves, and the things that we teach, you know, how to handle certain situations or what not to do in certain situations, but ultimately that everybody's not a bad person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And if we don't continue to give the proper context to certain situations, even in the event of, then we could be actually sparking the next person to not do what's right or
Absolutely.
to not overcome.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So context is critical. Day in and day out is key for us to actually move the needle forward as
Absolutely.
we're responsible for moving that needle forward, especially as creators, especially as influencers, people in the media, in film, all that. We're responsible for moving that needle forward. And if our actions and our work doesn't dictate that, we're setting us back even further.
Yeah, I think you just threw me a lob to something that I feel like is a part of that responsibility I was speaking to. And I remember in my interview to get into the school that I'm at now, they asked me why I wanted to go for producing and not for directing. And I literally remember looking at the woman that was interviewing me, and I said, because I'm Black. And she kind of like tilted her head, and I was like, anything that I do direct that's of my own creation, I have to go out and find the funding for it. So I'd rather you show me how to get that and what to do with it when I have it than to teach me how to direct, because that's going to feed me for a lifetime.
Mm.
Right. And that's the part of the responsibility that we have in controlling our own narrative. Because you're right. It's if we don't give the context, if the context is skewed, then the message is completely lost. And I think you kind of saw that if you've seen Queen and Slim, that's kind of what the entire film was about. It's about context.
Right.
Right. The context of the actions of these two people who were just doing this one thing because they had to.
Yep.
Right. And then it gets misconstrued because the media does something different. But as artists and creatives, is on us to own that content and the narrative surrounding it. We have to have control over that.
Yeah.
Because if we don't, it could be spun in ways that just get out of hand and taken completely left field. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I think there's a film on Netflix right now that the marketing department kind of screwed up with, because it's a film called Cuties.
We've
been talking about it a lot, and it's like the marketing for the film was completely wrong, right? But if you look at the film, you're like, oh, I see she's trying to make a point.
Yeah,
that's kind of where we are. Like, we're at this point where if the artist doesn't control every aspect of what it is that they're trying to do, if you don't literally ask them what it is they're trying to say and craft it around that, and you start crafting to make money or to get people to watch it, they're watching it without purpose.
Right.
They're guided without intent. And that's kind of what we see in our business when it comes down to our stories, right? It's like our stories are, we have plenty of directors that can tell Boys in the Hood and Paid in Full and Belly.
Right.
But when it comes time to do Birth of a Nation, now all of a sudden, the narrative gets changed.
Right.
Because we don't have control.
Man, it's and you're starting to see more of the intent to control, right? The intent to ensure that the narrative stays for what the actual meaning is, right? I'm thinking about, you know, certain movies, right? You mentioned, you know, Belly, Boys in the Hood, and how I view it as that's what the industry wants to continue to showcase, to keep the narrative of these scary, unintelligent individuals that only want to live in poverty, so on and so forth. And when you peel the onion back, you can take Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society, any one of them, right? When you peel the onion back, the intent wasn't really to shine light on what these individuals were doing. It was shining light on what they actually had to try and overcome. You know what I mean? To go and live in Watts and live in all these different areas, and to be your community and environment infested with something that was brought into your neighborhood.
Right.
You didn't bring it. It was dropped on your doorstep. You know, you go in any one of those communities, and there's every street corner, there's a liquor store, a bail bonds, a cash assistance place, and you have individuals on the corner.
Right, and it was almost like a running joke within my family when we would travel, and we would go to other cities, and we knew that once we started seeing the Williams Chicken and the pawn shops where we were.
Yeah.
And the MLK, like you said.
MLK is it.
And with the movie, you made me think about one from that era, Set It Off with F. Gary Gray. More people focused on the violence and the bank robberies themselves than what prompted those girls to band together to do it in the first place.
Right.
Because that was the heartbreaking part of that story.
That's
that
the
they risked
that was
it all.
lost.
There was so much hopelessness in their situation that they would risk it all
to try and get out.
To try to get out. They weren't trying to just be Bonnie and Bonnie. You know, there was some real pain behind all of that was going on within them individually and collectively. So narratives do get snatched, just
Quick.
like you said. Yeah,
Quick.
That was a perfect example.
I mean, and it's an age-old story, right? Because I mean, we all know stealing is bad, right? But if you're broke, you don't have any money, and you have a child, not feeding your child is bad as well. So which bad are you going to take? Right? Either you're going to steal this food, or this child not going to eat and could die. So without context, you don't have any sort of empathy. And they're literally able to erase our empathy because they control our context.
Right.
It's the same thing we see all the time. Like you see if there's a kid that's a school shooter and it's a white kid, you put him up on the screen in his cap and gown and say, oh, he was so mentally disturbed. But if it's a black kid, the first thing you're looking for is, oh, can you find a mugshot?
Right.
I've seen it.
Right.
And I'm not saying these things off of just things I've observed. I've seen it happen. Like, I've been in those conversations, and it's like we have a responsibility to ourselves and to each other to not allow it to keep happening. Because the reason why it's happening is because a lot of times we've gotten into this mindset of scarcity, right? Or the mindset of I'm the only one and I have to continue to be the only one. That ain't good enough no more. It ain't good enough being the only one in the room no more.
Right.
Right. And taking that position as, ooh, I'm just so lucky to be here, boss. Nah, we off that. We off that. Wow. Like, we taking what's owed. Like, if I could get a tattoo right now, it would be that Jay-Z quote. I'm overcharging them for what they did to the Cold Crush. Period. Period. I'm coming back to get everything we owe, and make no mistake about it. Like, I'm not gonna be apologetic about it.
Right.
I'm not gonna not speak my mind. This is, if you want to be in business with me or you want to do it, this is what you getting is what you hearing right now. So don't think that that's gonna change.
Man. Yo, that's deep. I'm gonna have to, take some time on that one, because I'm gonna have to reevaluate a couple things that's in play. for the future, man. But yo, look, I wanna. Well, actually, let me do this. Y'all know who it is, man. It's your boy Marcus Stone, host of the Unapologetic Hustle, man, and you know where we come from. Globe Life Park, powered by Fishbowl Radio Network and Bashani Radio app, man. And my guest today is none other, man. I got to keep saying it. The award-winning, if y'all didn't hear me the other times, the award-winning short film producer, Mr. Duran Jones. And he has been blessing us with some nuggets and gems and information, man. Make sure that y'all continue to support. Follow him on Instagram. That's I am Duran on all platforms, website, whole nine. So and that's EYE, okay, EYE am Duran. And we're talking about his journey, man. His journey through school to work, to understanding that the work piece wasn't what he wanted, to going to open mics, to creating and producing his own videos, which were actually short films, a little mini series, I'm gonna call them. But it led him to be on his path, man. His path forward, his true hustle, and his message is clear. And I see it more and more the more that I speak with him, and view his body of work. I want to take this time, man, to offer this to you. Know you have my support, brother. I applaud what you're doing. Continue to be the trendsetter that you are. I know firsthand the journey is not easy, but if there's anything I can do to assist you in your journey, man, to continue to tell your story from your vantage point, let me know. First and foremost.
Yeah. Keep doing what you're doing, man. Like it's so necessary because this is a part of us controlling that narrative.
Yeah.
Right. Because these recordings, these conversations, they're not going away now. You know, one thing I had clear in my mind from the point when I decided to do music and release it is like words are the only thing in this world that you can't take back.
Right.
Once they out, they out.
They
so
out there.
You better use them with some kind of purpose or some kind of intention. And you're allowing me right now to give context to what it is that I'm trying to do, and I'm definitely thankful for that to both of y'all.
And I'm thankful to Mr. Jones for crystallizing in one word the reason why I always felt proud when I would watch your show, because you allow your guests to provide their context and to control the narrative. It's like if you go back and watch all of your shows in a row, it's like a syllabus. Mm-hmm. A step-by-step guide to a hustler's ambition.
Right.
From their point of view, not something skewed, not something where people can twist it and turn it from their mouth. This is what I did. This is how I overcame. These were the tools that I put in place to accomplish. When you get it straight, direct like that, that's, so to be the liaison between the hustle and the hustler's ambition,
man,
That's a beautiful thing.
Hey, salute.
It is, brother.
Yo,
it is. And that's the responsibility, man, and that creation we talked about.
And he takes it serious, and I applaud him and you as well for taking it serious and being another face out there that we can be proud of. To when they start to push the old narrative, we say no, but have you considered such and such? Have
Right.
you seen Mr. Jones? Have
Yeah.
you followed his story?
Yeah.
Like we can always tell our kids now there's another way to do it.
Yeah, indeed.
And what doesn't involve bricks and ports and some of the cliches that we've all grown up with.
Man, I guess I'm gonna be transparent in this moment because of what just happened. This platform, and the reason I feel that I do it that way, because I understand what it's like to not have the voice that's heard. You know what I mean? Because people that can see you in a certain light and already have an opinion formulated, right? I did 17 years in the military. I had a voice to a voice up to the level of rank that I wore. You see what I'm saying? I always had somebody that can say, "Oh no, that's your voice is not relevant at this point in time." Right? You handle what's below your rank, so on and so forth, right? But even in that same aspect, to have the voice to say that I'm proud that I've served, because me serving afforded the opportunities and the avenues for individuals to do what they do on a daily basis. There's still pride in that aspect, right? But this platform is simply to give people hope, dreamers, a vision, and a way forward so that you can be the greatest of all time, and the greatest of all time in who you are, right? Not who anybody else is, but you got to be your greatest version of yourself each and every day, right? So that's what I see my legacy being. That's why I pour so much into what I do and growing the platform so that more people can have that opportunity to tell their story from their vantage point, from their dream, because it was given to them. So that's why I say it's therapy for me.
Right.
Because
that's awesome. That's really awesome.
You know, it gives back to me as much as I put into it. Right. And to have Mr. Duran on the line and to hear his story and the similarities, but our journeys were different. But there's so many similarities that I can pick up on. I can pick up on his frustration for what's continuing to happen in our communities. I can pick up on his eagerness to want to change what people actually see through film, through his music, through I get that. You know, but so many people don't hear it because of the context in which they first see it is not there.
I think that there are going to be, and I'm gonna just throw a number out there. There's going to be thousands of people who are going to hear his first hour segment when he was talking about transitioning from corporate America to following his dream and how his mom would look at it. Like, it was so relatable.
Right.
It hit right in the spirit of who we all are, because we've all, you know, that may have not started with anything. You get a little bit of something, it's hard to let go of that for something bigger. Especially when you know it's coming every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
To go and let that go after all I've been through to get this,
man.
And the fears that other people can.
401k, Sally Mae was getting paid back. Boy, you talk about stress.
Like that hit me right in the core of my spirit, you know, when he said that, and it encouraged me, and it's going to encourage a whole lot of other people who may have fallen into corporate America, but that's not really God's purpose for their life.
Right.
That it's a season of provision, but how do you get from that season of provision to what he's doing now, which is walking out his true purpose?
Yeah.
This show was a roadmap for that, and I appreciate him for being honest about it.
Yeah.
For saying, yeah, it was scary. Yeah, I had some trepidation. So the ones that come in behind him can feel the fear, but not let it swallow us.
Indeed.
Because we've seen a living, tangible example of what faith looks like when you just conquer that fear and step out anyway.
Man.
That's what this show is about, man. And that's why, like I said, I beam with pride. I've been sitting here. I got a remote in front of the TV. I really enjoy this show, and I appreciate all of the people that you bring on, and all of the people that back home in my city that's not as big as Dallas that take that. Hey, let them believe too.
Yeah,
you're reaching people in all corners of the world. You both are, and I wish you both continued success, and that your platforms continue to increase, because you all are being obedient with it.
Man, absolutely. Look, I wanna take the time. I wanna shout a couple. You know, we got the people tuning in on Facebook, so. Shout out to my cousin Ro. Shout out to our brother Rick Snipe Duran. He tuning in, man.
Thank you for your service, brother, and thank you for linking me with this, man.
Yeah, Miss Hattie Hess. Thank you for tuning back in. Yeah, shout out Miss Hattie. Those of you in the NY, man, she has her own business barbecue spot. So make sure y'all go and support. Hey, Mama Connie. My mother is tuning in. Yeah, Mama Hustle. My Aunt Sylvia, thanks for tuning in, Auntie. Who else we got? My cousin Kim, hey, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate y'all support. Before we get back to the show, look, check this out. So Fishbowl Radio Network is right now it is the award season, right? So you know, man, your boy is in a couple categories, man. So I need y'all to go and vote for me, man, at fbrn.us. Go and vote the Unapologetic Hustle to be Show of the Year and Host of the Year.
Right,
man.
not just a couple of categories, the categories. Show of the Year and Host of the Year. I need y'all to vote for your boy. I got Tennessee backing you up.
Hey.
We gonna get those emails popping. We supporting the movement.
Yes, indeed. Make sure you go to fbrn.us, man, and go to the awards section and cast your vote, man. The awards. Hey, I mean, you in the big box. I'm in you know, let's make that happen, man. So I appreciate your support, your love, and the growth that we've experienced, man. We're touching 900,000 plus. So I hope that I can get at least one vote from each of you, okay?
Talk about it.
Hey, you know, I do what I do. I do it for the people, man.
He does. But I think that would be awesome for him to be recognized for that.
Indeed. So but let's get back to it, man. Look, we touched on it. I want to go ahead and cue it up, man. We touched on Arizona and Skittles, man, and you were able to provide the context for it, but I want to take this quick break so that people could actually hear Arizona and Skittles, and then we'll get back to the conversation.
My main message is to the parents of Trayvon Martin. You know, if I had a son, he'd look like Trayvon. And, you know, I think they are right to expect that all of us as Americans are going to take this with the seriousness it deserves, and that we're going to get to the bottom of exactly what happened.
Skittles in Arizona, Skittles in Arizona. I'm on the corner with my Skittles in my Arizona. I'm such a threat. You scared yet? Black hoodie in the rain, hope I don't get wet. Skittles in Arizona, Skittles in Arizona. I'm on the corner with my Skittles in my Arizona. I'm such a threat. You scared yet? Black hoodie in the rain, hope I don't get wet. Tears in my eyes, blood in these streets. They hearing my cries as loud as they lies, but now I'm deceased. I got rest, but baby, there was no peace, except for pieces of my flesh that they left on this concrete street. My life has been an issue ever since Emmett Till could whistle. And if you picking strange fruit, get a knife for that noose, cause the poplar tree is very unpopular. But let me fight some dogs and I bet they face be popping up on every news channel. Big brother be watching us, and if your skin is dark enough, cops is gon' target you. Mama taught us we gotta work harder cause we darker. But why work harder if black sheep are only getting slaughtered? I apologize to my sons and daughters for bringing you into a world that doesn't want you. Life ain't worth much, so I had to warn you. I lost it all over a bag of Skittles in some Arizona. Skittles in Arizona, Skittles in Arizona. I'm on the corner with my Skittles in my Arizona. I'm such a threat. You scared yet? Black hoodie in the rain, hope I don't get wet. Skittles in Arizona, Skittles in Arizona. I'm on the corner with my Skittles in my Arizona. I'm such a threat. You scared yet? Black hoodie in the rain, hope I don't get wet.
He got something in his hands. I'm what his feelings.
Shots fly, doves cry, don't let me die.
Did you see what he was wearing? Yeah, a dark hoodie, like a gray hoodie.
Shots fly, doves cry, don't let me die. Skittles in Arizona, Skittles in Arizona. I'm on the corner with my Skittles in my Arizona.
This guy looks like he's up to no good, or he's on drugs or something. It's raining and he's just...
Skittles in Arizona, Skittles in Arizona. I'm on the corner with my Skittles in my Arizona.
He's got his hand in his waistband. Yeah, he's a black male.
Skittles in Arizona, Skittles in Arizona. I'm on the corner with my Skittles in my Arizona. I'm such a threat. You scared yet? Black hoodie in the rain, hope I don't get wet. Skittles in Arizona, Skittles in Arizona. I'm on the corner with my Skittles in my Arizona.
Yo, man, it's your boy Marcus Stone, aka Hustle, man. You know what it is, man. It's the Unapologetic Hustle, man. And we come to you live from Globe Life Park, powered by Fishbowl Radio Network and Bashani Radio app. Skittles in Arizona, man. What you just heard was one of the tracks from none other than my special guest today, Mr. Duran Jones. A very, very touching subject, but also a relevant one that needs to continue to be had in and out our communities. But like he explained it before, you know, you can hear the frustration and the passion at the same time in those words and in light of what actually took place. The fact of the matter that Trayvon happened years ago, and we're still dealing with it to this day, is a story that continues to play like a broken record in our lives. So we need to be that change. You hear me say that a lot. Be the change in your community. We need to be that change. We need to have those discussions. We need to continue to keep those topics relevant, so that the way forward is different than what the repeating cycle has been of our past. I can't say it no other way. Support this brother on his journey, because his messages, as he relates them throughout the music, his film, and just his walk, is something that we need to get behind and stand behind, because it's needed. So I salute you, my dear brother, man. Real talk. I appreciate your efforts. They're needed, and know that I'm in the fight with you, for sure.
Thank you, bro. Yeah, that one, I haven't listened to that in a while. That one still hurts. It still hurts. It's interesting. Like I got touched in a way that I wasn't even expecting, and it's just off of hearing it and hearing that younger version of myself speak with so much passion. And
man,
yeah, man, it's tough. It's tough, bro, because I think that was the nugget of me starting to get that responsibility and really feeling it. And in that song, like I hear it now and I hear it with a different context.
Yeah.
Like it was literally, I was speaking to myself saying, don't let me die.
Wow.
And that's like, when you think about that, it's like time is the only thing that can change anything, especially people. But it's the one thing that we don't have is promise.
Right. It's the most valuable currency that we have.
It's really the only currency we have.
Yeah.
Right? Because especially when you look at the structure of our system, because our money is based off of time that we spend at work.
Yeah.
So it's really, that's all it boils down to, is how much do you value your time? How much do you value that dash in between when you're born and when you die?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's your currency right there. Yeah. And like that just spoke to me in a huge way. Huge way.
Man. I like to tell the following, man. You know, we're taught to invest early, and invest consistently in order to create the wealth that you're looking to gain. I often take that same analogy, but say, you know, the currency that you should invest is the currency of time. You know, we're given a certain amount of time and we don't know when it'll expire. So if you're not investing it wisely to leave the legacy that will continue on to be that generational wealth that is needed in your messages and in your walk, then you need to reevaluate yourself. You need to reevaluate.
Yeah.
You know, we have to leave something. What's going to be said when my time is up?
Exactly. And that's not to say that it's to downplay it like it's going to be easy, because it's not. It's going to be hard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But what I continue to tell myself is that it ain't nothing harder than being born with this skin. Period.
Real talk.
Ain't nothing hard. It ain't going to get no harder than that. So everything else you're doing, it's relative to what your experience is already going to be. So like you gotta take account of your wins, your losses, learn from them, and not get discouraged. Everything, I don't know why, everything always, like, for me, it always goes back to lyrics that I wrote or songs or art that I've created. And I remember it was a freestyle that I did over this track called DFMN. And in it, the last 8 bars, I was like, how many shots does it take for a man to be great? For MJ to master that fade away? For LeBron James not to pass the rock when the clock starts to fade because there's no D Wade or Kyrie or D Wade? I must admit, I've been laying bricks on most of my but truth be told, what the hell you think a foundation is? If plan A is the dream, then plan B don't exist. If you don't dream, what the hell you expect from your kids? I've been running from visions of me seeing me be the villain. Hope penning these feelings will become my penicillin, the cure for everything. Just want to ease the pain. But seeds don't ever grow without feeling a little rain. And that's our entire lives have been, when you're born with this skin, when you're born into circumstances that aren't desirable, these are not your choices, right? But so often people want to talk about what we chose without showing what we had to choose from.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like that, in that struggle, in that strife is where you grow. And it's easy to say when you're on the other end of that struggle and that strife at certain points, to say, oh yeah, I did grow from that. But you got to even see that in those moments when it happens. I got to a point in my life where messed up things kept happening, and I just kept saying to myself, oh, I'm gonna make a nice song about that.
Right.
That's gonna be a nice film. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like you gotta, if you're not capitalizing on your own experiences and your own story, then you don't control your narrative. You don't. And you got to take control over that and what you want it to be and what it represents for everybody else that hears it.
Man,
so
that's real talk. That's straight heat right there. That's straight facts. Man, look, I kind of wish I did have more time, but I want to I want you to tell the people if you know any upcoming projects that you want them to be on the lookout for, that you want to put out there if there's anything, but also let them know how to get a hold of you again, man.
Absolutely. I'm working on my thesis film right now for AFI, the American Film Institute. It's called 5. It's with a writer, a playwright by the name of Keenan Scott II. He did a play called Thoughts of a Colored Man, and this was a story that he had that I'm actually adapting into a screenplay. And it's loosely based on my situation with my brother and just some of the things he goes through. It's about a young man who gets incarcerated for 7 years, converts to Islam, and he comes home and has to mend the relationship between he and his mother. There's a lot more to the story than that, but I'd like you to follow it if you can on Instagram. It's 5 The Story at 5 FIVE The Story. We'll start releasing things off that, but all of our thesis films at this school are based off of donations. So we'll start asking for those shortly so we can get it done. And this is our version of controlling that narrative, right? So the more resources we have to tell a story of this importance to our community, the better it's going to be when we do try to control that. Because this is starting as a short film, and it doesn't mean it's going to end here. Yeah. So I always want to keep that in mind, and just champion so many different issues that we have, from incarceration to recidivism to family dynamics and structure to poverty to mental health to religion. It's so much that goes on in our communities that we haven't had the opportunity to tell, right? Which is why we've been portrayed for so long as a monolith. It's because we haven't had that autonomy to tell those stories. So I won't keep rambling on about that, but you could also follow me at me directly at EYEAM Duran. That's I am Duran, DURAN, on all platforms. The website is iamduran.com. And yeah, I'm going to keep putting out content, and hopefully y'all will have me back, man. I really appreciate it.
Man, you got a home here, man. Whenever you want to put something out there, you already know. Let me know, and we'll work it out for sure. PL, any final words, man?
I just want all of the people who were able to listen to this to understand that the people that you were listening to today, Hustle and Mr. Duran, they're human beings. They put their pants on one leg at a time. They have fears. They get hungry. They get thirsty. They are human beings. The difference is what they spoke about in the last block, time. They understand the importance of time, and they've maximized the minutes that we're all given equally each day. And to know that you can look and see real, live, breathing people living their destiny within the same allotted time that we all are given, and let that be an encouragement to you as you push forward this next week.
Man, indeed. Well, you know how it is, man.
Pass the collection plate on that.
I mean, I'm appreciative of the following. So I want to send a few couple shout outs that I missed earlier, but my Uncle Joe, appreciate you tuning in. And my cousin Loretta, I appreciate my family's coming through strong, man. I appreciate the love and support. They have been there, undeniably. So it is appreciated, and I see you. I love you for that. But it has come to that time. I'm sorry, people, but you know where to come every Saturday from 11 to 1, man. You can catch me here, Fishbowl Radio Network, Bashani Radio app. You know how we do it, man. The Unapologetic Hustle. We'll have great guests that are on their journey and have a story to tell. But a few last housekeeping notes. Make sure you go to fbrn.us and vote your boy, man. Host of the year, show of the year. I would love to take home that award because it would be an award that y'all have given to me from the following. So. Not yet, but hey, we'll see.
For sure.
But make sure you cast your vote. You can only vote once, but you can vote. You can vote for both categories. So yeah, let's do that. But as you know, I wanna send a special thank you, Duran, for giving me some of your day, man. I know you have another engagement coming up. I appreciate the insight, brother, the perspective, everything that you have provided the following, and I look forward to what you have coming up. And like I told you before we went live, write me into a script. I
got you, bro.
I need to add actor to my resume, man.
That's the hustle. That's the hustle, man. I got you.
But here it is, man. The hustle moment, man. Look, we have to invest that currency, and invest it strategically, right? You have to understand what your purpose is in order for your direction to be meaningful. Know that the obstacles that are in front of you, on side of you, and the ones that are behind you are all molding you for the purpose that you have been given. So don't take them lightly, but push through. Whether you got to run through it, jump over it, or move to the side, it doesn't matter. The fact that the only thing that is relevant is that you have to keep going forward. Don't allow your head to be hanging down low. Keep it held high, but ultimately invest in your currency, which is time, and activate your hustle. I'm your boy, man, Marcus Stone, a.k.a. Hustle. We come to you live every Saturday from 11 to 1 right here on Fishbowl Radio Network and Bashani Radio app. So until next Saturday, we'll see you. We out of here.
Yes, sir. Yeah. They tell me all the time, Levi, what you got going on now? You always doing something. Always stay working. I just tell them, how you expect to be great, but your hustle don't match. Listen, the hustle unapologetic. Can't help it, I'm built this way. It's probably in my genetics. Refuse to live my life in debt, filled with all this bad credit. Been craving the sweet like just like I'm a diabetic. I'm too sick, so sick. I definitely need the paramedics. Almost that I can smell it. Some of y'all pathetic. You get the game, but you never teach it now.